Good day, everyone. I'm Anna Spinskaya, and I'm coming to you from Washington, D.C. suburb. Welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live classical music channel. We're connecting musicians and audiences from around the world in real-time performances and music news now encompassing the whole globe. Our mission is to empower musicians with new tools, to enrich everyone with new thinking, expand horizons of what's possible, what can work, what can be a source of joy and success for modern performing artists. Continuing to introduce Sound Espressivo Global Music Competition, raising modern musicians, instilling what it takes to be devoted, diverse, engaged, successful. Today's guest, Adrianne Greenbaum. She's a flutist. She embraces and she's successful in seemingly conflicting traditions of classical, klezmer, and Baroque. We're going to be asking her why she chooses such a diversity and how she handles it. I'd like to introduce Adrianne Greenbaum to our program. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Adrianne, you're a pioneer of Klezmer Flute tradition. You're recognized as the queen of Klezmer Flute. And I want to say one more thing, and I endorse it. Adrianne Greenbaum is our national treasure. I didn't say that. I found it. I found the quote, but I do endorse it.
Well, it's been said. It wasn't said in the New York Times, but I'm taking it from comments online, and it has been said, and I accept.
You should, because it's true. You're also a professor of flute, of classical flute, I assume, right? At Mount Holyoke College.
Yes, and I also teach klezmer as part of my job.
And what a better way to introduce a fabulous musician like Adrianne, if not by presenting her performance. And now we're going to hear the actual live performance on this broadcast. Adrianne is stepping on the virtual stage, and you're a veteran of virtual stage. You've been on it the entire 18 months of the lockdown. So you're going to show everyone what it feels like to play in the new space.
Well, I am going to do something rather unusual, and I'm going to
push the magic button.
Yes, I'm doing that sort of as I talk.
And you're not going to miss it. That's for sure. That's one magic button, the red button there.
Well, it's not. It's not for me a red button. I just took off and I'm putting on stereo audio. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a piece that every flutist should have in their pockets. And yes, it's classical. It was composed by Debussy. And it is a standard for us, and it tells a story. It is called Syrinx. And if you know the story of the Greek goddess Syrinx and how she is wooed by Pan and she doesn't feel like dating him, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go right into a klezmer piece. And that should give you a nice breadth of what I do. Here now is Syrinx.
10.
Thank you. Do you
What
want to
a
hear? You want to
treat.
hear a secret?
Yes,
Here's a secret to the world. It
yes.
wasn't the track that I meant to put on. I went,
Oh,
oh, darn it. But by the time you reach our age and experience, you say, okay, go. Just
yeah. Just go.
just go.
That was fabulous. Well, even if you didn't mean this track, this was a good one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, I want to come back to my question about diversity. We just heard a phenomenal diversity, even including the unintended piece.
Right. But it was at least intended to be klezmer. So,
Absolutely.
but in terms of intention, um, what also happened unintended, and this happens to all performers, and I teach about this. Um, I had dinner. I'm not going into a long story. Don't worry. I had dinner just before this, and as you might expect, I salivate. And so there I was through the Debussy going, I would love to swallow, no
But you
time.
can't.
And then, in combination with, okay, breathe and swallow, that would be nice too. So there were things that you don't, but you need to make it work. You need to always make whatever you're doing, because what we're doing is communicating. That's
Exactly.
that's what we're doing when we're playing music. And I've taught my students well, and I didn't know enough. I didn't learn enough from my own experience. It was only about 10 years ago that I was asked, would you play with me? It was a student at a festival that I was teaching at. Would you please play with me? I said, oh, sure. Do you have the music? And he said, no, but I know you'll be fine when we get up there. I said, you're right. I'll be fine. So
Okay.
it was with a hammered dulcimer player. And what I did not expect was, first of all, pencil manuscript,
Uh huh.
which you can't see very well. And there was a backlight. So everything on stage was lit up, but I couldn't see anything. It's the same as looking out at the dark audience. You can't see them. I couldn't see the music at all.
Oh
So
my.
let's say that I did the best I could, but also the student didn't know his music well enough, so that instead of playing on a hammer dulcimer, he would do, and okay, I respond to that somehow. So we did this performance, and afterwards, being on faculty, I felt I owed them a response. So I stepped down and I said, I need to apologize to all of you that wasn't the piece
Intended.
that was, um, and someday we'll play it for you. But it was, I couldn't see, and it was my fault. Um, and another person came up to me, a faculty. She said, "Don't you ever do that again." I said, "Oh, I know, I could." She said, "No, don't you ever apologize to anyone. I loved what you played. It didn't matter to me that it wasn't expected or whatever.
Uh huh.
You loved every note, and you expressed it, and that's what counted for me. Don't you ever." And boy, that really has stuck with me.
So you loved every note, you expressed every note, and
That's
that
right.
was the key.
That's right. That's right. Um, when the students get to that level that they've worked so hard, and they've gone through the paces of learning the notes and the rhythm, and getting comfortable at the right tempo, Then their job is to believe in it and absorb it into every bone. And it it works so well for the students when they can let go of the mistakes that might happen. Okay, they're going to happen. That's not really the point. That's not going to come across. I have one student. I've told her. I said, you sound like you're fishing. Don't do that, because she would say things right after an audition. She said, "Oh, the judge would say, 'You're in. Go. You're in the finals,' and she said, 'Really?' But that was so bad." And I said, no, just shh. And I said afterwards, are you teasing me? You're not fishing? She said, "No, I didn't think it sounded good." I said, "Please, that's not where we're going, because it sounded good in spite of what you thought went wrong." And
Yeah.
just believe
So
in it.
that self-judgment as we go through is just crippling. You gotta love what you do and go with it. And did you see on the screen from a comment from our audience?
Yeah.
Can you see that? Yeah. Thank you, Danielle, for commenting. It is a fascinating story.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
And unfortunately, it's out. I have a folk musician uh, friend who says she practices making mistakes. She wants to be able to get the point across and be in the middle of an error. Um, I've heard of this. I don't tend to do that myself. Um, but here's where I think the problem of making errors starts right away. It's in the lesson. And way back when we were studying, I assume, our teachers were sitting right next to us. And as soon as we made an error, let's say it was fingering on the piano or whatever, you got the, oh,
Exactly.
ah, and
Exactly.
so,
I remember that.
and I mean, I even apologize sometimes, sorry, it's just, and I do the same thing in a car when somebody's about to hit another, object. I'll go, ah! So it's kind of a startle reflex with me, but I wish, now with COVID, it's nice. First of all, I've gotten much better results with the students online than I have in person. Somehow they feel they can't touch you, and so therefore they're more, they're more likely to be themselves.
I hear it a lot from many teachers, and I noticed it myself as well, that there's a lot more intimacy and
Yes,
feeling of safe space.
safe. That's what it is. It's a safe space. Um, my mother actually introduced me to the unsafe space of, I would practice thank you, Mom, but I would practice every morning. It was either flute or piano or flute. We rotated, my sister and I. So, and she's a violinist. Um, every time I hit a mistake, I would get on the floor. And we lived in a 2-story colonial. That meant she heard it. That didn't mean I didn't hear it. But I had to go upstairs. Yeah. What? You made a mistake. I know. Go back. I was going to go back later. No, go back now. Now, that took 3 minutes every time this happened. And it happened every morning. You would think I would learn, but no, I was smart in this way. That took 3 minutes out of my practice time to go upstairs. Yeah, what happened? I know. So she interrupted all the time. And I have tried better and better to not interrupt and try to remember what I'd like to say. And sometimes it works well because if you wait, maybe the phrase repeats. You go,
That's
oh,
right.
thank goodness. Now I don't have to say it. If it's a wrong note, but even if it's done in a different phrase way, then I'm all for it. So, to sit in judgment has always been our nemesis. It's the teacher's job to correct. And how do we do this
Without a
without,
judgment.
yes, without the judgment? And my graduates, I was in graduate school. I always played with lots of expression. And it came to be that I asked my teacher after I would make a mistake, I said, how come you never make a mistake? And he said, Adrianne, I'm just going to tell you straight out. Yes, you've made mistakes, but what you're going for is so much better. And I,
So much
of
bigger,
course,
so much more important. Yeah.
but I also wanted to say, could you tell the judges, especially orchestra auditions. So, and then when I played the recital, he ran up to me after the recital. He said, where was that this whole year? Where was that? And I said, well, I'm not going to play the same as I do in a lesson. Now, wouldn't that be nice to let the student play
The same in the lesson,
the same way,
and learn
knowing
to
that,
to swim that inspiration.
yes,
Just yeah, to
yeah,
really take control of the stage presence. Yeah,
yes, 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 yes.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, the era, our new era. That's a fabulous comment. Thank you,
I,
Daniel.
I'm going to steal that.
That's it. I'm gonna steal that too.
I mean,
How some standards are broken. Yep.
yeah,
It's fantastic.
yeah,
Thank you. That's a wonderful comment. So
and
great to have people in the audience communicating with us in that way. I hope more
yes,
people will start putting more comments in there.
it goes to the differences in. I think you were going to ask me, um, and it sparked something. Um, it goes to who you're playing for. If if you're playing for an audience that I get to play for now, I'm playing for the elderly a lot. I am so in love with the whole experience, and they're smiling at me, and oh, you can't beat this. If I make a mistake, whatever the heck that means, um, they're not going to go, wow, hey,
They're not gonna go right.
right.
And the funniest thing is, I don't know how about you, but I make fewer mistakes in a more friendly environment.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Let's hear one more recording. That's a little recorded clip from more than a year ago. You were also a pioneer of this virtual stage. You performed one of very early concerts with virtual concert halls and with your ensemble. And I believe we have a clip of your own piece in there. And it's a fabulous one. I loved it. Let's hear it. a memory. What a great piece. And I believe you're playing piano as well on that recording.
Yes, this is the biggest joy for me is that I have this piano that I mean I've got a full baby grand here too, but I've got a piano that I can play all my accompaniments for, and that's why I just put on the CD of my accompaniments, and there you go. Of course, I picked the wrong one before, but um, uh, I get to play it the way I want.
So the
And
-1 accompaniment, when you are able to record it yourself, you record it exactly the way the soloist yourself are
yeah,
going to be performing it. That's
right,
fabulous.
right.
So all that hard work, and again, I want to come back again to diversity. You're one of the most diverse musicians I've ever met. Piano, klezmer flute, classical flute, Baroque flute, and you're juggling like different flutes. Some of them I've never seen before. You showed them.
Right, right. Here's a 19th century piccolo. Here's its partner, the 19th century flute. In the klezmer world, and really, if you want to play any Beethoven in a period orchestra, you have to know how to play these instruments. And I am fortunate to have gotten on the bandwagon early. I must say, when I first became a klezmer, this was 25 years ago, I came in with a regular silver flute, and they heard that, I mean, the people directing the program said, oh, you're going to go somewhere. Get yourself a wood flute. And it went from there. I studied
Now, I
because,
hear from some people, maybe that's just, myself not being a wind player, being a pianist, and I don't know enough. But I hear from some people that it's really challenging because the technique's slightly different on all of those
well, the
instruments.
fingering is definitely different. So, if I'm hitting an F sharp over here, I've got to remember that in the other flute, it's going to be over here. Otherwise, I'll
Oh
get it
my.
natural. So, in a sense, lucky string players, yes, they might have some spacing issues depending on the size of the violin, but you don't have at least a different fingering system. You have different rules. You certainly have a different bow. I do play viola, so I know some of this from experience. And also, um, I got the opportunity of a lifetime to play Baroque viola. And the director said, okay, Adrianne, I think you can do this. And I practiced and practiced and practiced and noticed that I couldn't do this martelé. I forget what this is called, but I can't do it. So I ended up going into a different position. I said, I've got it. But the Baroque expert came up and said, no, I can't allow you to go into that position. So, I mean, I've enjoyed learning about these different aspects. And I am a firm believer in when I teach that I'm going to teach to the period that the music comes from, and so that's the advantage also of knowing how to play the
So
instrument.
you know how to play wind, flute family instruments from what 16th century through 21st, 500 year span.
Not Renaissance, so I don't play the Renaissance flute. So
Oh, those are different again.
yeah, yeah, then right. I also
Like,
yeah.
I wanted to ask you also about your student, Sadie Goodman, who was an absolute star of Sound Espressivo competition last year in 2020. And you prepared her, she's a young musician, and of course she's growing and struggling with this and that, and the virtual stage is new, and, the whole circumstance was new. But she really presented herself with such confidence.
We
And
worked on that, and she lapped it up. She she is driven. Um, she apparently knows how to use her time. Well, she does not spend 5, 6 hours a day practicing. And I've questioned her lots. on it. There is something called talent, and I think she has it. She shared with me um, an early video of her practicing when she was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the video went like this. Too fast, she said, right into the video. So there's something, she's very
Self-awareness.
She's involved with the music, and she's now at Juilliard Pre-College, and I hated to lose her, but I am certainly keeping in contact. She just won because just as her mother actually wrote to me last week, she said, "We can't stop thanking you." First, it was, she said, virtual.
Sound Espressivo competition.
Yes, that was the first one. And she has won so many since then. And this last one was a big one.
So she took off. We can take a pride in
really all she
being the first to discover it.
Yes.
But she was an absolute star. And she won a laureate award in the Sound Espressivo competition in 2020. And then she went on performing, basically starting almost like a career as a virtual artist, because she had several more concerts which were sponsored by sponsors of the competition and companies which were offering the prizes. She was showered with awards, and I want to play a short clip of one of the awards which were presented to her. She was presented virtually in a concert which was sponsored by the Polyphony Arts. It's a British management company, agency, in collaboration with Hull Music Club of England. So let's play that short clip.
Thank you.
This was a wrong clip.
I thought so.
But that is a very remarkable recital. Sadie gave a full solo recital virtually.
Her very first. She had never done that.
Yes. And she sounded, she presented herself, she communicated like she's done it all her life. And it was a huge program. And another remarkable thing, we don't see a pianist on this part of the video, but I know who the pianist is. And the pianist is Adrianne Greenbaum.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Thank you, Mom.
For going, no, not for that, for everything else, right?
Really, I mean, seriously, I grew up in Ohio. We didn't have much money. And there they were spending top dollar for 5 lessons a week. All right, piano, flute, viola. My sister, violin, piano. That's 5 lessons per week at top dollar. I don't know where they had it, but
Well,
they gave it to
you
us.
did well with it. Definitely, you and your sister both did very well with what
Yes,
your parents provided you.
yes,
Well, minus the knock knock.
right. It was part of it.
But it was absolutely astounding to see young flutists display so much endurance, so much involvement, so much expressiveness, and such a fresh, genuine communication. It was unbelievable that solo recital, and she was what, just 16.
16, right. Um, I believe that you can't always wait for maturity to happen in expression. We worked on communicating to no one, as in, um, there you are on the screen, but you can't be doing this, you know, looking around, being apart,
Disconnected, yeah. You have to be
connected.
connected with the audience which is there. You just have to use a little
Yeah,
bit of imagination that there is audience out there. These are real people, not just imaginary people. Yeah.
right. I went to a master class given by a Baroque flutist, and the flutist was playing very technically well, but his word for him was projection, and that didn't mean volume. He said,
No.
"I don't, I don't feel it or hear it going beyond your music stand. I want to be communicated with." And that meant something. I mean, that's really what I like to focus on when we can get there. One of my students just got into the finals of something, and I said, she had a lesson this morning and she was in such a good mood and she was playing well, and I said, I'm very excited because now we can work towards the next level of really communicating and being expressive. And I got the smile, he's ready.
Well, you are an incredible communicator, so you teach not just by encouraging, but by also an example. And
Yeah,
by osmosis, your students definitely learn that.
right.
And I want to hear one more short clip of Sadie actually during the competition when we didn't know yet she was going to be a star, but
Okay,
she was definitely getting there through preliminary,
okay,
semifinals, and now what she
right.
did at finals.
The program was so exciting and beautiful to hear such extremely fluid playing and expressive playing. You really are using the flute like a tool of your expression. So congratulations for that. Not easy to do on such a high level. I would like to add in the Paganini that I do think that the highest notes of your flute playing, whether it is the proximity of the microphone or something that was a result of playing in this fashion, or if this is in your playing, a little bit more control on those high notes so that they aren't just spit out like that, so that they have a little bit more beauty, even though they're high and supposed to be a little bit more powerful. You can make them more rounded and lovely. But all in all, I thought your performance was excellent. Congratulations, and thank you for playing today.
What I love in your performance is that you are very musical. You start with soft, you continue through culmination and finish very soft. Then it's make absolutely amazing and beautiful sound. I agree that high notes has to be like more round and beautiful. How to bring these high notes and not so fast, because when you do fast you cannot control. Your performance was absolutely amazing and I love it.
There was a lot of going on. The judges were really jumping in with trying to encourage more, get more attention to this, to that.
Yeah.
And that was the performance which sealed it. And Sadie got the unanimous laureate. She was definitely an absolute star of the competition.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sure you were really nervous, right?
You know, you've been out there when your students are performing. I mean, I expect, you know, we all have a certain life expectancy that we think we're going to reach, but each time, especially the ones that are trying so hard, you go, I mean, it's
It's almost like a car hitting another object, right?
it's you know,
Nerve-wracking.
and the other world of orchestral auditions brings yet another. You have to be steady, and you have to be. We are told by many artists, if you're in the preliminaries, don't give it all away. Just play the right notes. Okay. Now you go to the semifinals. You can offer a little bit, not too much, and then let it out in the finals. And you're supposed to control that. I was told once, I thought I did a stellar audition. I did get very far in a few key auditions, the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra. I was like last 3, Boston Symphony, last 2. So I know the feeling of, okay, this is it. And as soon as I would say, this is it, then I fell apart. And I asked one audition judge, I said, so I thought I played well. What would you say had you move on? They said, well, we thought your Brahms 4th was too slow. Well, that's a weird, I'm sorry, but are we also?
I can play it a little faster. Just give me the tempo you want.
Just you know, that world is still foreign to me.
Well, you're a soloist. You have your own.
I was in a really good orchestra for 37 years, so I know what it, you know. And my luck, my good luck, was I was principal flute, and they loved me. So that meant if I wanted to do something on the performance night, you know, you hear about conductors saying, I'd like that a little softer. And you just go, yeah, okay, sure. And then on the night of, you do whatever you want. What's the conductor going to do? So, because part of it is the fact that the conductor hears what you're doing from here to you know,
that's right.
Away. And they can't know what goes out there. I'm sorry. So the problem with, if you were to write a paper on orchestral playing, you will probably come to the conclusion that a lot of the solo passages are not all that expressive. And that's because the person who won the job often didn't go in that direction. And this made, I think, the judges, the conductor, feel better. Oh, I can mold that person. You know, so you have to teach all the parameters and then teach how to adjust. You do need to adjust sometimes. You know, I think you mentioned that do we play to the judges? Well, sometimes you have to. It depends on what they're judging. You know,
that's right. Well, in Sound Espressivo, we are establishing a new style of judging, which is directed towards artistry and artistic value, and a part of the there has to be practical way of how you get there, right? It's easy to proclaim, okay, we're going to judge the artistic merit, but how do you practically do that? And part of the way the Sound Espressivo is approaching it is by putting together musicians of different specialties. It's customary for competitions where pianists judge pianists and flutists judge flutists, and that's strictly all we do. But it becomes almost self-serving kind of thing, because it's very hard for pianists, when we're judging pianists, to rise above technicalities. And even maybe not even expected from the judges. But when you put conductors and composers and flutists and voice, vocalists and managers and producers in one panel, it's much more realistic perspective. You can't expect, a vocalist to judge pianist on the technique of chromatic scale, whether the fingering was right or not. And they're not going to even attempt that. So they have that distance from the mechanics and technicality of it, which is extremely important because, as a pianist, it even seems like it's absurd to be judged by pianists in the competition, because when I was studying with a piano teacher for sure. But once I finished my study, for the rest of my professional career, I don't play with pianists.
Right.
I play with flutists, violinists, cellists, conductors. Yeah. I play with everybody but pianists. I mean, I play with pianists, but not that much.
Exactly.
So that feedback, and as pianists, sometimes we get out of the school and we start playing in an ensemble, and we get hit hard by our partners who just say, "Well, that ain't gonna work." Well, what do you mean ain't gonna work? I got, that's how I play in competitions and win. Well, forget it. It doesn't work in real life.
Exactly. Because you can't also expect that you have the only way it's going to be played. Hopefully at our level, we're playing with colleagues that have equally fine ideas. So,
in different specifics.
If you want to delay something, but I want to delay it. Yeah, but I don't. Well, let's try it both ways.
Exactly.
There must be a little compromise there.
And then once you're over that hump of trying to please the judges, try to figure out how they're going to judge, and hopefully in the Sound Espressivo, there's not going to be any guesswork, because it's impossible to guess. When you put a mixed panel in there, stop guessing. So you don't play to the judges, you play to yourself, you play to your audience. And
that's why this competition is, and what you are doing is the absolute right thing to do. And the competitions, the flute competitions are, when it's only flutes and it's judged by flutes, even, Sadie and I would review the results after a competition and go, wait a minute, what happened? I mean, she is hearing like big differences. Now, wait a minute, that person might have made every note, but was I moved? No. So flute competition.
But then the perspective, well, every specialty competition, it suffers a bit from that, more or less, depending on the panel. But when you hear all the same instrument, and you really can't help but focus on the mechanics and specifics of it. But let's hear one more last clip we have prepared for this program from Sadie's, now this time, the British Hall Club of England performance. We're going to leave our audience a little bit hungry for more and wanting to follow Sadie's successes and learn more about where she's going. She's going to go far. She's already gone very far.
She's a member of the New York Youth now, which is a very high-level orchestra. And
Fantastic.
she says she's going to Juilliard Pre-College and studying with the top teacher there. And she loves it. She really loves it.
And she has a little bit of your expression, facial expression with closed eyes, playing like that. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, well, you as a pianist, you may not have this experience, but when you're looking right into the screen, it can look really bad. And so,
no, we're sideways, so we're safe from that.
Yeah, lucky you.
Yeah, it's been such a tremendous pleasure. Unfortunately, our time is coming short. I can spend a whole night here hearing your incredible stories, Adrianne.
I could too. I really appreciate Sound Espressivo for what they do, what they foster, where they're going. And I certainly hope that you guys continue to do what you're doing.
We're planning on it with the support of musicians like yourself, sending such a phenomenal, promising stars as Sadie. There's no way to stop.
Right.
And I want to thank also Adrianne. First of all, of course, thank you so much for coming and sharing your time, sharing your wisdom, sharing your wonderful stories, and your phenomenal playing.
Very welcome. Thank you for asking me.
Yes, thank you. And I also want to thank our support team, the wonderful virtual concert halls, team of our producers. They're all musicians by their magic hands. All the screen and showing all the clips and all those conversations happen. And today our two directors were Frane Rusinovich and Fero Uspensky. Thank you very much, guys, for your help and support. And we also want to thank History of Music Facebook channel for helping and supporting our broadcasts and helping us reach wider to more audience and include more people in our programming. I hope you all enjoyed it. And we also would like to thank very much the Fan for Me platform. It's a new platform created by musicians for musicians with the purpose of helping musicians monetize their art and reach far and wide and make a living out of our arts. And I believe we have a short clip, a message from the founder of Fan for Me platform. Let's play it.
It's time. It's time for artists to get bigger and to play bigger. It's time to take control of your individual businesses and raise the bar with exclusive content and financial freedom. With Fan for Me, we have made more ways and features for you to make money than any other platform in the world. All creators will earn 80% of all revenue, and it is time to start thinking in the 6-figure or the 7-figure mark. The tools are all here. Welcome to fanforme.com, and welcome to the biggest stage on earth.
That was a message from KlezMore, who is a Juilliard graduate, a dancer who had a very substantial dancing career, and he's joining our efforts to help and provide more opportunities and more prizes for young musicians. His platform is offering 5 amazing awards for the 2021 competition. So we're going to continue, Adrianne, and we're going to keep growing. And again, I want to thank everyone. Thank you, audience, and thank you, Adrianne. It was a tremendous pleasure. With that, we're going to say bye.
You. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you all later.
No matter where you are or who you are, music connects us all. We started with a dream, but now we are paving the future. Welcome to the Sound Espressivo Global Competition. Fully virtual, yet bringing musicians closer together than ever before, now on a global scale. True live, inclusivity, diversity, connection, community, an extraordinary array of judges. Get noticed by companies all over the world. prizes, scholarships, performance opportunities. Apply to be a part of the most exciting congregation of artists like nothing you've ever seen before. We guarantee quality and leave no musician behind. We can't wait to hear you on the virtual stage.